EA has released the new presentation features that will be included in NHL 25, and in this video, we are going to break down everything that is coming to this year's game. Now, one of the more interesting features that is being added is the grudge match. How this is going to work is that in online or offline, if you match up with an opponent that you have played recently, you will receive a cinematic going over that prior performance, but more importantly, players that had an impact in those prior matches are going to receive special X-Factor abilities for that specific game. It will also show your recent history in terms of wins and losses. So this could have a pretty fun effect, especially if you play online in EASHL or Hockey Ultimate Team, giving those games just a little bit more intensity. The thing I'm curious to see is if we are going to get an extensive stat tracking system, if they are able to track these recent games between two specific players or two specific teams. Hopefully we are going to get expanded statistics that will be saved. There's no confirmation on that, but leaderboards and card statistics in Hockey Ultimate Team are among the worst in all of sports games. They can't really track, they can't separate online or offline games in Hockey Ultimate Team, and it should be a major point of emphasis considering this is NHL 25 and basic stat tracking has been in almost every other sports game for decades now. The other thing to note is that Cybulski will do a voiceover for the cinematics. I was able to confirm that if you do not play with commentary on, you will still get the cinematic, but you will not hear Cybulski narrate it if you match up with someone that gives you a grudge match. Now, one of the most surprising things about this year is that old gen is not going to be included in this release. So with that, we got our first look at next gen characters. Now, this is all coming from the Sapien technology, which is what they use in Madden, and the power of the Frostbite engine on PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X and S. We're getting a pretty big graphic overhaul in terms of the textures. So you'll see players' hair and jerseys look a lot crisper when you slow things down. I think that because so many players play with more of a zoomed out look, this really doesn't have a huge impact. What I would love to see personally is the crowd get a huge rework. And now maybe since they're working on the current gen systems only, we'll finally see an upgrade to some of the crowd that is in the arenas. Now in the gameplay trailer, we also got our first look at the new in-game score clock. This has been something that a lot of the players in the community have been asking for, to go back to the more traditional way that the score bug looks when watching a hockey game. It also now includes shots. Again, not a massive improvement, and it's not game-changing by any stretch, but I will never forget seeing the score clock at the bottom of the screen for the first time when I got to play test, I believe, NHL 20, and the first thing I thought about was you play up screen when playing NHL, and having a score clock at the bottom means that you've got to take your eyes down while you're looking up in the play. It just was always a friction point for me, so I'm happy to see the new score clock back. Now, there are a bunch of new updates coming to franchise mode that have not been talked about or released yet. However, we do have an unfortunate one that was confirmed on the EA forums, and that is GM Connected is not expected back this year. It's been stated by Mike Engelhardt and Chris Haluk, lead developers of the NHL franchise, that GM Connected is on their radar, and it does look like it's a more of a when, not if situation when it comes to GM Connected, but unfortunately, it will not be in NHL 25. Now, I do want to talk quickly about the presentation and the way that it looks like it's going in the past few years. I want your feedback on this as well, because again, it could all just be personal preference. I don't know if it's because I'm older and I've been playing NHL my whole life, but I'm really on the side of making the presentation mimic a real-life NHL broadcast and not make it look like a video game, which sounds counterintuitive, but I'm not sure if that's just because, again, I'm older and they're trying to market it to a younger crowd, but I really wish they would go back to that NBC-style broadcast. And you load in, you get the goalie matchups with their record on the screen. I think if they were to include that with some of the new presentation things that have been added in over the prior years, like that big stat sheet that pops up at center ice that shows your team's leading scorers, things like that, I think those all look good and they have a place, but I think they should be added in with a more traditional broadcast. I'd love to hear your feedback in the comments section down below. But NHL 25's launch is coming very quickly. I'll have a ton of exclusive content coming, so make sure you're subscribed to the channel so you don't miss out. I'll see you next time.